I think one of the many things that certain people tend to, you know, go through at a point in their life is regretting the fact that they ever liked someone due to how it eventually turned out. You just envisioned the future and that future didn't become what you wanted it to be. So you kind of just hate the fact that you even offered any part of yourself whatsoever to that person. You wish you could go back in time and, change everything. You wish you could make different choices and try different things and maybe meet different people, because you think to yourself, if I never really gave all of me to this person, I probably would have given all of me to someone better, And there could be some truth to that, but it's only fair for us to remember that we didn't necessarily know other people, or our eyes weren't really set on anyone else aside from the people we did love at the time, And I've gone through that series of emotions as well, those series of thoughts where it's like, you're thinking back to the very period you started to like that person and where you guys are now. And maybe there's some lingering effects of how much you offer to that person still just burning you down every day, every week, every month. And you're trying to heal and you're trying to pull yourself out of that position because you want to give more to someone else. You want to be healthy for someone else. You want to be all for someone else. And it's hard and it's difficult. And sometimes it seems almost impossible, even though it's not really impossible, but it does seem that way sometimes, And I think about that sometimes. I really do. And I tend to get into that series of thoughts where I'm thinking to myself, you know what, maybe I do regret liking this person. Maybe I shouldn't have ever met this person. I wish I never did. And that is a valid thought to have because, especially when you were played on, or the people broke your heart, or they deceived you, or they backstabbed you, you start to just wish you never actually gave them the chance to, because we think to ourselves how, if I was doing better, if I saw the signs early on, maybe I wouldn't be in this situation that I'm in right now, and I probably wouldn't have been used and, wounded. But the truth is we didn't know that would be the end result of anything that we pursue, because we pursue these things with hope and faith and just this ideology and mindset of wanting to actually make something of what we see, with that person specifically. We think to ourselves how we want to be able to just create a beautiful and wonderful future. And don't get me wrong, so people do get lucky. They get to meet that one person, and that one person tends to be with them for a very long time, years, eons even, and not all of us are that lucky. Not all of us have that kind of opportunity to, be graced with one person early on and never have to worry about finding someone else ever again. In fact, not all of us are even graced with the opportunity to be ready to, have someone, because most people tend to understand that it's not really the person's fault when certain things do fall out, but it's ours as well. We tend to also not be ready to handle the responsibilities of love and the responsibilities of having a partner. And I personally feel like I also fell under, or I'm kind of pulling myself out of that area as well, because it's like when you do first feel that feeling of love, when it's not, it goes past the butterflies and all the, you make me feel this and you make me feel that, and you move into territory of wanting to make sacrifices for that person and actively make choices for that person. You feel whole and you feel different and it feels more, because with the feelings of just, butterflies and all those plushy stuff, it tends to go away quick, because the moment you don't pay attention to those feelings, it fades and it wanes. And when it wanes, it doesn't really matter anymore because, well, it's gone. It's just that momentary dopamine hit everyone tends to have every now and then in our brains. It's normal. It's like there's no exception, unexceptional, that none of us wouldn't feel that the first moment we meet someone that just checks every box. But the more you start to love someone for more than just seeing them, and you want to even tolerate them, and you will listen to them say the dumbest stuff and still stick around, it tends to get real. And when it gets to that point of being that real, it becomes more. And when it becomes that more, you realize, oh, I actually do want to break the earth open and give this person everything that I possibly can. And the first time I felt that, it hurt because, it was very one-sided at the very least. And it's broken me. And I feel like one of the most saddest parts is sometimes we tend to pretend like we're fine. And I guess that's a very big mistake many people make. They tend to pretend like after stuff like that has happened to you, you're okay. And it's okay to not be okay, but it's not really cool to stay in that position. But I'm not okay. And even though I'm not okay and I'm not fine, and I'm still trying to find my way out of this and also try to navigate through those emotions, I don't really think I want to say I ever regretted loving that person, because at the end of the day, I didn't necessarily know what was going to become of us, I didn't necessarily know what was going to eventually happen. And that I won't say ignorance, but that obliviousness, if that's even a word, just not being able to have a clue of the future, it felt nice, because at the present, I was able to make as many sacrifices as possible without having to think to myself, what if this didn't work in the future? But when you constantly go through those heartbreaks, and you also constantly go through those situations where your heart is toyed with or ripped away, or, you lose the person that you wanted to spend that future with, you start to think to yourself, maybe I never should have loved that person. Maybe there were signs I saw and I ignored, or maybe there was just something that was clearly there, and because I was so stuck in love, I probably never saw that. And for me, it ruined me, because it's something that you've grasped and held on to for so long. And you're just trying to find some type of rationality whatsoever. You're trying to find a means or like a possibility to explain to yourself how, this can't really be it. There's no possibility that after everything we've been through, I lose this. I don't want to lose this, but you can. And it sucks, but it's not the end, I feel one of the most painful things in all actuality isn't really falling in love with someone and it not being exactly what you wanted, but falling in love with someone and it not letting you fall in love again. It not allowing you to experience that emotion again. Because it's like you think to yourself that you never want to do that again. And it's very understandable, honestly, but it shouldn't be the catalyst for how you live your life, because just one incident doesn't necessarily mean that that's the reality that has been bestowed upon you. You can find another way to do it again. It's just difficult and it's hard and it might take some time, but it's not impossible, it's definitely not impossible. And you just have to be able to understand that it's hard to understand, but yeah, it's life, As far as I'm concerned, falling in love did teach me things, and it sucks that everything goes the way it goes sometimes, but I've learned enough, grown enough, developed enough to just see that it wasn't entirely bad. And at that moment in time, there was a lot of stuff I picked up, and there's a lot of stuff that I've been able to accept and, see from having to have had those experiences. And maybe, there's a part of me that wishes that the person I met was the person I love now, because then maybe it would have been so healthy and I wouldn't have had to ever worry about anything else but them. And we would have grown and developed ourselves, and I wouldn't have to constantly do this back and forth of trying to find myself and navigate through all of these negative emotions. But it's happened, and well, the only thing I can do is live and correct what I can in hopes that I change and I'm better and I'm more than I ever was before.